Now serving your entree of sports and entertainment, the triple shot of Marcus returns. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Fish and Grits for the Culture. April 30th, 2018. How's it going for you fellas?
I mean, feels good. I mean, we about to, I'm feeling all right. I'm glad I'm one of the ones that Thanos didn't kill off. So, life is good, dog. Life is great.
Coming with the immediate spoiler, huh? Just out the gate.
Yeah, we coming out the gate, dog.
Oh,
I
we
don't
gotta
even.
know. Hey, this is gonna be all spoilers. So hey, we ain't bullshitting around with you. I'm gonna let you know out the gate. I'm gonna let you know out the gate. You gonna know
Yeah, you haven't
everything that
seen
we feel about this movie. You got to see it by now.
Yeah, it made
it. You
200
haven't
and what,
seen it.
$58 million. What'd you say? Who was that? Who broke up over there?
So that was me. I was saying you had to be one of those dollars in the 258 million.
Exactly. You had to see this. So I'm about to say. So we're gonna spoil this one out the gate.
Man, out the gate. How did y'all think about Thanos or I mean Infinity War? This is a
That boy
Thanos
said,
movie. This is a Thanos movie.
"This is a Thanos movie."
Featuring the Avengers, man. This is
You know,
Thanos
something pretty
Infinity
good.
Quest. That's what they should have called it. Thanos Infinity Quest.
Um,
Oh no! What'd
my
you say? I forgot. Dang, Demarcus, I'm so sorry. What did you say? You threw me off with Thanos.
What are your first thoughts of it when you first seen it? How'd that first effect shake for you?
Oh man, honestly, because I gotta go back to that Thursday mindset. So what was this like? First of all, I was like, "Dang, I really gotta pee." First of all, that's the first thing I was thinking, and then the second thing I was thinking is, it's like, man, I couldn't believe that Marvel kind of went there because in my finite mind, I was like really into the film, so I wasn't thinking about what Marvel had on their release date and things like that. So I was kind of into the film as it was going along. So a lot of the things that started to happen, it was just like, yo, I can't believe they actually went there and did some of the things that they did. And out the gate, it comes out with a punch when Thanos is going toe to toe with the Hulk, and I'm just like, yo, they're coming to establish that Thanos ain't playing no games, and I really love that about this movie because I've been hearing a lot of narratives out there. For one, people complaining that the Hulk is kind of how did he get bested so easily, and it's like Thanos is not stronger than the Hulk. He just can fight better than the Hulk. So you saw it. You saw that when the Hulk thought he had him, and he was like Ebony Maw was like, "Hey, let him have his fun," and he started hitting Hulk with them Tyson jabs. He was like, "Woo, Lord!"
What was your
It was
first thoughts of the film, Wilson?
I think that it was a really good movie. I immediately understood that Marvel decided to go with the shock and awe tactic, giving you the big moments, the big swerves and curves. Uh, Kind of ballsy for them to lead off with Loki not lasting 5 minutes, with the Hulk getting beaten into submission, which obviously is just the cinematic version of the Hulk, because there is no Marvel comic book version of the Hulk that will lay down and act like a bitch after getting beat in one fight. But
exactly, but
I'll
yeah,
leave that alone. I'll leave that alone. The exact premise of the Hulk is his ego and anger is driven by constantly proving that, quote unquote, Hulk is the strongest there is.
mm-hmm.
So one ass whooping ain't gonna make him tuck tail and run. But I'll leave that alone. I understand it's supposed to go with the narrative of the movie and stuff like that. So it's cool. I thought that they told a good story. Um, and yes, by default, because of the fact that they took no time whatsoever in any of the other 10 years worth of movies to really press out or iron out or lay out any backstory, this is pretty much a Thanos movie by default.
I
That's
agree, man.
that's true, man. I mean, just see Thanos on his quest for balance. I mean, that's the pretty much the strong narrative that they was trying to push out there on his behalf, and you seen every time they would kept have him mention that word balance, 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 like that. It's kind of instilled in his mind that that's the only way that this universe can survive is with
But
balance.
think about that. It was balancing a lot of the characters too, because you had to balance. Because with Tony, he was talking to Pepper about settling down with the life, and she's like, "Yo, you can't balance being a hero and
Mhm.
being a dad." Same with Scarlet Witch and Vision. Like Vision was like, "Yo, at the end of the day, I'm still a being, and it's that balance of trying to be a hero and trying to have this love life." And then Cap, with his whole thing about they're scrapping for weapons, and they don't really have. They've been kind of just outskirts, so it's that balance of trying to be heroes and still being fugitive. So I mean, that's an underlying theme. I like how you brought that up.
I mean, that's just the one thing that really stuck out to me between the balance and then that kind of sacrifice angle that they had throughout the movie. Like you seen like certain elements of people having to sacrifice things and having to learn from those sacrifices that they had. So especially Thanos, like the one thing that kind of had me with Thanos is the human elements that they showed him. Like you really could sympathize with him in some parts of, damn, maybe he did care about being a dad. Which I don't think that's how they should have written him. I want to see more of a just a full savage. I want to see that same Thanos that started the movie throughout the film, and I feel like he let a lot of people slide throughout the movie. That's the one thing that kind of pissed me off.
You
'Cause it's
you
like
know what?
he came out so strong, and then just kind of got softer. The more stones he got softer.
I agree with you on that. But the only flip side of that is I think that his whole character arc of them trying to establish that he is a trying to be a logical being, kind of like how Killmonger was. Is like I have to do this. Is like it's
Yes.
just keep it 100. We are overpopulated. So Marvel tried to play a little fix on that and say, oh, we do have overpopulation, but to correct that, Thanos feels like I have to wipe off half the population. And I'm just like, and I love that every one of the Marvel characters from Iron Man to I want to say Gamora, they tried to check Thanos is like, yo, that's stupid. Like you just sacrificing lives for the heck of it, but you trying to justify it, which I kind of liked about that to a certain extent. And the one thing about that I like that you said is I didn't like how they kind of made him sympathetic of a villain until I liked it because of Josh Brolin's portrayal of Thanos, but I didn't like. I would have loved it more if I would have got that connection with Gamora in the past Guardians film. Like, 'cause I just didn't feel like there was no connection to Thanos in any of the other films, or maybe
I mean, but
one of
he also wasn't in a lot of films, which is also one of the complaints that we should have. But he was in certain scenes where he said, "You alienated my favorite daughter, Gamora." So he's spoken of her in a positive manner before.
he
So
spoke of her in a positive manner, but I didn't feel it from Gamora's state. So when
no,
it was just like it just man, the Guardians are that's the flaw to me. But we're gonna talk about that later on to me. But the thing that I really like about this movie, and I don't want to be too long about reiterating this certain thing, is I like how things just kicked off. You know what? When you watch these Marvel films, they kind of remind you of like a TV series. Like Iron Man was what the pilot. The pilot episode, and it's like, okay, well, this could work, and then they had the Hulk and everything else, and it's like the Avenger movies are like the season finale, so this would be like the season 3 finale or whatnot for the phase 3 that are going on, and I like it that it just threw you into the chaos out of nowhere. Like Iron Man's have this casual conversation with Pepper, and he's like, oh man, we talking about kids, and I had this dream about having kids, and then here come Doctor Strange, like, yo, I gotta holler at you, Iron Man. It's something going on, and it's just like they didn't waste no time with a lot of stuff, and I really enjoyed that about this film.
no, for sure they did jump right into it and just put you right in like the meat of the plot. But Mikey, what was it? Anything that stood out to you about the overall movie?
Did
I
we
guess
lose Mike?
I guess we lost Big Mike. I guess we lost Mike.
Oh, okay. Well, let's go savage in this thing, man. Let's talk about what are we gonna talk about next?
The thoughts on the deaths, man. Like these deaths.
Can I keep it a bug, dog? I personally, I don't know about you, Demarcus. 'Cause I don't think we got to really talk about it as much after the film was over. But I was so into the film, and I was drawn into the film because one thing I like about this movie is the acting of each character, despite being, that's Iron Man. Robert Downey Jr. did a great job acting. Tom Holland did a great job as Spider-Man, and Josh Brolin as Thanos. So their portrayal of the characters kind of drew you in. So the acting that went on in Black Panther, and we're so fresh off of Black Panther. When he runs to Okoye and he's like, "Oh, we do not die today," I was like, "Okay, they're not about to die." And then you see him fade away, and I was like, "Oh!" I said, "No, they didn't kill Black Panther off." Bro, I
Yeah,
was broken in half, and man, I know a lot of people like Wilson says that, oh, that Black Panther 2 coming out, but in that moment, I wasn't thinking about what's going on, what may happen next. I was just like, yo, they just killed off Black Panther. Who's next? And then you see Winter Soldier kind of fade off, and you was like, yo, Cap just happened to see Winter Soldier. They just got it together. And then Spider-Man kind of fade off. You was like, bro, this is too much to take for me to take in. Oh man, it was breaking me, honestly.
I mean, yeah, it was kind of surprising. I mean, especially if they went with the element of let's pretty much kill off everybody that's gonna have a part two coming out or a spinoff coming off. So it's like, if
And,
it felt kind of dull. Like that's why I'm kind of with Wilson when he's mad about that because they had so much they could have deal with this story. Like they had so much and they kind of melded in a little bit. It's
bro,
kind
you
of
know,
disappointing.
and you know what's really funny about this? Because I know Wilson, Wilson ready to get to this one part of the show. But what I liked about this film was this is the first Marvel film I can honestly say that I went into with a fresh mindset that I haven't been seeing a lot of trailers. I haven't seen a lot of the promos. I haven't really been paying attention of what's coming up next. So it slipped my mind that they were doing Avengers Part 2. And then it slipped my mind about Miss Marvel. It slipped my mind about Spider-Man 2 being in production. So when I went and saw these movies, it was more of I had the audience shock and awe factor and not the person that's kind of been following the I want to say the entertainment news on these films. So it kind of caught me way off guard, honestly. I gotta keep it a buck.
And I can imagine. Did you have any thoughts on the death though, Wilson?
The deaths were cool. They were mission accomplished across the board because everybody on Earth, not named Marcus Wilson, I guess, got in their feelings about it. And I mean, at the end of the day, that's what they were trying to do. They pulled it off well. They kind of blindsided folks with it. I mean, I don't have a problem with that per se. It's just a simple fact that two things will always stand out to me now that we've gotten to this point in this stage of the game when it comes to these comic book movies. Number one, I'm always going to think about the end game. Number two, I'm always going to think about the money. So for me, it's always going to trigger me when I think of moments as being less organic and more money grab orientated. That I'll always have a problem with, and I'll never hesitate to call people out on that because I feel that the deaths, while done well, written out well, executed well, to me, it just smelled like a money grab. And from that point on, I just kind of disconnected a little bit because it's like, okay, now you're giving me pretty much all the ammunition I need to kind of know what to expect for the next movie. And that's disappointing to me because I like surprises. I like curveballs. I like the curveballs that I got in this movie that I wasn't expecting. It's when you take that element of surprise away from me as a comic book fan and a comic book movie fan that I get disappointed. Overall, don't get me wrong, because I know folks are going to be, oh, here's Uncle Buzz. Yes, Uncle Buzz is in the building, but I never want to discourage anybody or get anybody the wrong impression. It's a fabulous movie. It's an awesome movie, but there are flaws in it. It's not a flawless movie by any means. It's not perfect by any means, but no movie is. So I mean, it's just one of those little things for me.
You keeping a book and you keeping it a million percent on point, because the simple fact is a lot of these films and a lot of the Marvel films or DC film is our thirst for knowledge of what's happening next, what's going to come next. And with us thirsting for that knowledge, when the studios give us those answers like, oh, we got this film plan and this film plan, it kind of spoils things for us subliminally, and we kind of phase past that. So, picture this. Wilson, let's take it back to 2001. Lord of the Rings came out. You see how Lord of the Rings ended. We knew nothing about Two Towers and coming out. So when we saw that, we was like, "Yo, this is how this movie gonna end."
You was like, "Yo,
let's take it to Matrix. Reloaded? When Neo passes out on the table, you was like, "Yo, Neo's dead. This is over for Neo." So you
like the agent laying next to him before they get to the last part, and it's like, "What the fuck?"
Exactly.
Just like, when is the third one coming out? They need to hurry up and bring that shit out.
It didn't happen 6 months later. Here it comes. Yeah. Like, oh, okay, Neo.
Like you literally played the waiting game because they ain't give you no spoilers on the third one. You was like, man, what in the hell is going to happen? And one more thing on this, and this is kind of where my Uncle Buzz kicks in, because I know that I've been deprived. One of the biggest flaws that we will have to deal with moving forward with the Marvel Cinematic Universe is that it's going to suffer from the curse of Disney. For people that do not know, for people that do not go back to the source material, and you don't have to, but if you want to understand the gripes that some of us old fuddy-duddies like myself have, Thanos and his motivation for doing what he does has been completely spun for these movies, because Thanos in the comic books is a ruthless, heartless, soulless individual He is in love with the physical embodiment of death, which is portrayed by a female in the comic books. His way of proving his love to Lady Death in the comic books is by murdering half the universe. Disney will never ever approve that narrative. So we don't get that darker, really cool, could have been off the chain Thanos version. You get the nice, great value Costco version, which is still awesome because it's better than anything else that they put out villain wise in Marvel Comics. So I mean, you can't really be mad at it. This is the most gangster villain we've had in Marvel, arguably in any Marvel Cinematic Universe joint.
Since Winter Soldier. So Winter Soldier was pretty G. He was G.
I mean, Winter Soldier was G, but he was that anti-hero more than he was a villain. So you can't really give him like full villain status. You know what I'm saying?
True.
But for Thanos, it's like you go through and you look at it, and I get it. They did it well as far as spinning it and making it work for the production that they're trying to put out there. But just imagine that you had a dude that gave zero fucks, and the only thing that I'm trying to do is prove to this lady that I'm worthy of being her companion by giving her half a universe as tribute.
I really
over in 45 minutes.
Bro, I low-key thought that he was going, you know, that one part where he was since we already in spoilers, that one part where he was on the planet with Red Skull, which was a nice surprise because I totally forgot about Red Skull.
One of the best curveballs in that movie.
And when he walked up on, when Gamora was laughing or whatever, and Gamora was doing her like, oh, you don't care for nobody, I thought Thanos was going to turn around and grab her and just chunk her.
My man
and kill her. He started crying. I said, "Oh, dog, they trying to really make me feel something for Thanos." I mean, I felt something for him because I was like, "Okay, maybe he does love her."
Elements. That's what I'm saying. Like they made Thanos a fucking human, and I think that's why Wilson upset, and I'm upset with him because first off, you should not feel that way about a villain. I shouldn't walk out of there like, damn, maybe he did lose everything. No, he just destroyed half the fucking earth. What the fuck am I thinking?
No, that is true.
So that's what I'm saying. So it's not fair that they even gave him
just enough material on a villain to make me understand why he believes he's right, not to sympathize with him, but just to understand why it is that he thinks that he's right.
Because I don't feel he was right at all. I sympathize with him more than I think that his plan was actually going to work.
Because he could have used the reality stones like we said in the text message or in the group chat. I was like, he could have used the reality stone and kind of, if you complaining about resources, you can always give us more sources and be a buck about it. But you know,
I mean, if you have a problem with so much population and stuff like that, you could have just created more planets.
Oh, that's true.
Spread everybody out.
Hey, that is true. Make some room. Hey, move, bitch, get out the way. Put me over here. I'm tired of this nigga in Earth.
It's a lot of things they could have done, but Thor taking the power of the Dying Star to the chest was the most outrageous thing I have seen in a movie.
Bro, that was doing the absolute most, dog. That, you know what I have to say about these movies, and let's keep it. Let's talk about some of the bad stuff. These movies, like Wilson said, are Disney-fied, and I'm gonna be honest with you. The one that I hate the absolute most is Drax. I hate that Drax is so Disney-fied that all he did this whole entire this movie was crack jokes.
He's a walking punchline. He's a walking punchline.
In the comic books.
And you're talking about a dude that goes toe-to-toe with the likes of Thor, the Hulk. Like, he's one of the most powerful characters.
And the one that also, in many times in the comic books, goes toe-to-toe with Thanos and has a psychic ability that gives him the edge that also could. That's why I hated back in Guardians, why everybody wants to say, oh, I love Guardians of the Galaxy. No, guess what? In Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, Drax can control the Power Stone. So why you just let him have the Power Stone and kill off Ronan? But no, we got to give this little dance battle to Peter Quill. And I'm just like, what's going on here, man? This is not cool. And you know what?
Another great villain that they screwed over because, well, let me not. I'm sorry. Let me stop.
Don't drop the spoiler because you know he's gonna be making.
No. It is spoiler. I was just about to start going in on Guardians because that's one of my favorite villains when you talk about like the cosmic level Marvel villains. Ronan the Accuser is so gangster, it's not even funny, but they completely wrecked that in that movie.
And if you want to keep it 100. If you've ever watched Earth's Mightiest Heroes, Avengers Earth's Mightiest Hero, it came out, I want to say, 5-6 years ago, when Ronan Accuser made it to Earth and how he was just whooping up on all the Avengers, that's how it should have been.
Single one of them.
And it took them the combined effort of Miss Marvel and them to kind of throw him off and hit him at different waves. And it was like, oh, and that's the thing I did appreciate when they fought Thanos, when Doctor Strange and Spider-Man and Iron Man was going at Thanos at waves. I was like, okay, that was really entertaining. Yeah. And shout out to Iron Man for finally getting to do something other than just shoot at people. This dude went toe to toe with Thanos and really held his own. And I really
and he got Thanos respect. We can't forget about that little tidbit. I think it's gonna be super important.
Bro,
I don't think Captain America
is somebody and they survive. I'm gonna respect it.
Let me ask y'all a question. And I was thinking about this when I went back and saw this movie. But does it make you, what Marvel did that's pretty good, and I know I'm rushing past the negatives, but I guess we can talk about that later on. But one thing that I did like about what Marvel did with this movie was they established with a lot of these movies the character of these people. So I cared for when Spider-Man was dying. You could feel Tony feel the type of heartbreak because he was like, yo, he was kind of a mentor figure. Or when he was going toe to toe with Thanos and he gets stabbed, or when he's Iron Man's having this conversation with Doctor Strange on the ship and he's saying that Doctor Strange, so it's like, what you gonna do next? And Iron Man was like, I don't know. And I kind of felt that like this dude was just 10 years ago was just chilling with a bunch of females, and now he's a hero. And I'm just like, sometimes you don't know.
Flying the Titan, I don't know what's going on.
Here's the thing that gets. Here's the thing that gets it. Maybe I can get it in a nutshell for all of us, because I think that people are gonna think that we're just gonna sit here and rip this up, and we're not. One of the best, brightest, and most enjoyable parts about this movie for me is the underlying theme of the fact that every single character in this movie shows you why they are a hero. Every single one, whether it's the interaction between the sacrifice and selflessness, the love and affection between Vision and Scarlet Witch, whether it's the rebellious sense but still have the sense of duty to come back and do what's right of a Black Widow, a Falcon, and a Captain America, whether it's the youthful innocence and just blind loyalty that you have from a Spider-Man, whether it's the realizing that even though I'm going through and I'm expected to lead, at the end of the day, I don't know everything, views of an Iron Man, where it's the, even though I'm cocky and I understand these things on so many different levels than y'all do, I still have to make sure that I'm doing what it takes to play my part in this end game of a Doctor Strange. Everybody shows you a different facet of what it is that makes them a hero. And I think that that's awesome because it makes you buy in and invest in all of those heroes.
Yeah.
Thanos shows you why he feels that he's right and it needs to be done. And at the end of the day, he curries sympathy from a lot of people where it shouldn't have been, because he shows you in his own way why he feels that he is the hero in this movie. It's one of those things that I can appreciate because I get it at the end of the day. And it's one of those things that should set it up for an awesome part 2, because at the end of the day, those things are going to come into play and those things are going to factor out. You're going to learn about the measure of teamwork, about sacrifice. I mean, you go through and you have little things like a lot of people won't take into account the amount of heroism it showed for a very aloof and I don't give a fuck character like Groot to come and save the day at the end of the day and actually put a handle on that axe. Put a handle on that axe and chop off his own arm to make sure that Thor could come in like gangbusters and try to save the day. You know what I'm saying? It's little things. You know what I'm saying?
Doctor Strange looked at 14 million views of how I don't have to give up my fucking stone.
It was 14. What is it? It's 14,605.
And he only had one way to go with it.
And
hey, shout out to Doctor Strange for being a G in this movie, and they finally let him show off some of them powers of how advanced he's been. Dog, he was holding it down.
And as good as the Black Order was, when you really mark it down at the end of the day, those niggas got no stones. They did nothing but get washed. They got washed.
Ebony Maw did.
Maw was the coldest one, but he should have survived.
Disappointing.
He couldn't survive space.
Dog, I thought that was the ruin of his character, because they built him up as a pretty GQ character. How he was going toe to toe with.
He was Paul Heyman out there.
Hey man, he was hyping Thanos up like he was the greatest thing since sliced bread.
it was such a big fluctuation between characters that all of a sudden became overpowered or underpowered. Like literally in the course of this movie, you saw a world beater get punked out and completely taken off the map in the
But
Hulk.
Scarlet Witch looked like a top 3 pick if we was.
You saw her look like a goddamn Titan, like she was handling all comers. Like, what y'all want to do? I'm doing everything. You know what I'm saying?
And
you
that's
saw Thor that looked relatively underpowered in every single
movie.
And now he came in and actually looked like Thor for the first time since the tail end of Ragnarok.
Hey, Stormbreaker.
I mean, you go look at these different things, man. It's crazy to me how they do it, but I understand. They've already set themselves on this path. They're past the point of no return, so you can't change the narrative. You can't go and adjust it on the fly. They didn't know 10 years ago that they would have a possibility of getting Fox characters back, so you could go through and kind of stage this out, take time with it, stretch it out a little bit more. You didn't know that, so they rolled the dice. They made the bed, so they had to lay in it. So, it's the good that comes with the bad, but overall, I'm not disappointed. I just wish that there were some things that could have been done different.
I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed about one scene, and that's that Wakanda scene. I really think they set themselves up for a failure when they made. And I'm gonna tell you why and in my opinion, it could have been different from y'all. The reason why this kind of affected me wrong after looking at it the second time, they wasted a lot of the Black Orders. I want to say the thing that kind of made them a great, I guess, a co-villain or something just to go along with Thanos is they kind of dialed them back with bringing all those alien creatures that they brought in to fight. Why do you have to do that? Why do you have to bring in a Chitauri? Or why do you have to have, like, with Ultron, it got to be like 1,000 Ultrons, like these little scapegoats just for the heroes to fight on? How amazing would it be to see, like, a Black Panther, Winter Soldier, all them just have to go toe to toe with the Black Order and really give them justification on why they're fighting these people. So you can have the Hulk trying to fight on that big dude, or Ebony Maw going against. Go for it.
And I know a lot of people ain't gonna want to hear it, but at the end of the day, I mean, you have to acknowledge the truth. If they could have went back knowing what they know now about how good Black Panther was going to be, I'm sure Wakanda would be a lot different, but they didn't expect Black Panther to be as successful as it was, so they didn't expect it to have as much anticipation in being a key factor as far as fighting heroes. So they were basically set up like cannon fodder, just like the aliens.
I'm really mad. The more we talk about this movie, the more I get mad. I was getting hype at first, but now I'm getting mad because
it's not a thing to get mad, bro. I'm just saying, like, on that particular part about it, I got it because I knew that when they filmed this movie, it wasn't with knowledge of how successful Black Panther was going to be. So I knew that pretty much when it came to this movie that he was going to be a bit part at best. Wakanda was going to be a bit part at best. It was just going to be a location. Yeah. If they would have set it up knowing how much of an impact Black Panther had, I think that scene and the way that it went down would have probably been completely different.
It's not even about how big that Black Panther was or how amazing that film was. It was literally in the comic books. If we want to keep it a buck, how relevant Wakanda is to the Marvel Cinematic Universe should have been hyped up a little bit more, because I remember watching or reading in the comic books or watching, basically, if you want to go back to when Lionsgate owned Marvel and they were putting out their little animated films, and you had the Avengers film, and the Avengers had to run to Wakanda because Wakanda was the most advanced and they needed to go there and look for help from Black Panther. I just think that just having too many villains, you knocked what could have been cinematic gold in them fighting, I guess, the main Black Order or whatnot, or instead of just seeing Thanos just run up and just toss everybody everywhere, it could have been another build up by them having these little extra small battles. I just feel like me and Wilson could have wrote this movie better.
But I appreciate the movie. The funny part about it though, Griff, is the fact that we would come at it at a different angle. Now we would be cult heroes and underground legends, but Marvel wouldn't like us because we wouldn't be doing what would make them the most money. We would be doing what would give the fans the most bang for their buck, especially diehard fans, but that's not going to pull in casual fans. That's not going to pull in folks that can just come off the street and just watch this and be entertained, because the stuff that we talk about, when you and I come from that perspective, and that's why I try not to go back to the whole, well, this is what the comic book does kind of thing, because then it means that folks are going to have to do research, and people are lazy. They just want to go out and see something and be entertained. So I get that. That's why I say I get what they were doing. I have to change my brainwave when it comes to the movies, because there's only going to be a small group of us comic book nerds that will have these issues because we constantly look back at the source material. They're going for it for bang for the buck. I want to get as many butts in the seats as possible. I don't care if they know a damn thing about any of these characters or anything like that. We want them to come and spend money. That's the way they've always been. That's why I laugh when people are so hard and so nitpicky about every single thing that happens in DC movies. And I'm like, okay, you act like Marvel sticks to the original script. But, you know, neither here nor there. But I feel where you're coming from, man. I mean, it's just one of those things that, yes, we, knowing the depth of the characters, knowing the depth of certain storylines and how important they are in the actual comic books, yeah, we're going to be disappointed because it's like, man, you guys could have made this shit like 50 times better than what it was. But
what I love what you're saying. I just truly feel like Marvel is taking people as fool because they establish even in that first, just say like how I had made that narrative of how these movies kind of feel like a TV series, and you know, the Avengers is like the season finale. They are in the realm when they hit that phase 2, when they came out with Civil War, not Civil War, but Cap 2, Winter Soldier. They established the grounded reality of how serious these movies can be, but then they start having like the Guardians, and they got a little jokey, and then it's like, oh, then they come out with the Thor 2, and it's like less serious. But it's just like they need to pick and choose. If we're making this brand and we're establishing this brand that's different from what everything that sells out there, any other movie that's ever been done, or even from the comic books or just from cartoons, you need to establish that, guess what? If you're going to see Avengers 3, you need to go see the other 7 films that came out before Avengers 3. So you get in where you fit in. Don't come in this movie and come in and say, oh, well, I don't know what's going on and da-da-da. We established from the phase 1 what these films are. Now we got the jokey crap out the way. Let's establish in some serious stakes and some serious stories to invest. Let's give you payoff for your time being invested. And that's what I wish Marvel would do. People would sit up there and say, oh, these movies are really good. Yeah, they are really good and really entertaining. But at face value, you could have done more. And that's what I'm thinking. That's my whole thing with Disney is.
One of the reasons why Disney and Marvel doesn't do that, though, and it's funny to me, is because every time that they've seen an example of that, they've only seen money lost and bad reviews, because that's exactly what Fox has tried to do with everything that they've done with the Marvel character. Every single Fox Marvel movie that you can think of has always been a serious, darker, more adult tone, and people have raked it over the coals. Whether it was the X-Men series, the only exception to this is Logan. Out of the entire thing, out of everything that Fox has done, Fantastic Four movies had a little bit of levity, but they were serious concepts. The reboot of it, still serious, even more serious concepts. You had your Daredevils, your Punishers, your X-Men series outside of that, stuff like that. None of them were really lighthearted, you know, jokey. The other exception to that would be Deadpool, but Deadpool was such a gore fest and pop culture reference phenomenon that people were going to love that either way it went. It gave you like an overboard, a overload of everything that most kids nowadays like. So that one was a win. But other than that, Fox has always embraced those darker, more serious things. And that's why I laugh, because people give them such a hard time about a lot of those movies. Some of those movies I actually like because they were actually more geared towards adult and serious storylines, but everybody gravitated towards this Disney stuff.
I just like it. I just think that they could go a little dark. I see I'm on the other side of the spectrum. The only reason why I think they could go that route, but they're just afraid to go just that dark, is because it's just they feel like they will lose the kid aspects of them wanting to run the city's movies. But the thing is,
they don't want to risk their money. They don't want to risk.
We were kids and we wanted to see those X-Men movies. But what it was is we lived in a time being with Spider-Man and X-Men and stuff like that, where comic book movies were cool, and they were cool to a certain demographic. Nowadays, comic book movies are kind of the new norm. Everybody's starting to love these
comic book geek now.
Exactly.
Everybody wants to be down now. Everybody's been down since day one.
And I feel like Avengers, this Marvel Cinematic Universe established with the first phase one is just, guess what? We're trying to do our different thing, our own little thing, and be connected. And I feel like they could have went serious. I think like Winter Soldier made what 747 million worldwide, and that film did not have too many jokes of, if anything. And then all of a sudden it was just like, and then it was like, oh well, here goes Guardians, here goes the jokes, here goes Thor 2, here goes the inexplicit jokes that you need. And I'm just like, Age of Ultron. I mean, Ultron was like one of the most menacing villains in the cinematic universe, and they make him like what is it, a mustaching, twirling villain or whatever. And I'm just like, yo, we can, it's okay if you go LeBar.
This was kind of that apology for Age of Ultron, if you want to be completely honest. And when you look at this film, it's kind of like three storylines, like Wilson was saying earlier. You got Thanos' origin story, or his quest. You got Thor looking for Stormbreaker, or how to make it. And then you got Iron Man, who's all like, oh, man, I don't know if I want to keep doing this. I'm tired of being in these situations, but I've had this prophet. I got to defeat this guy. You've been the guy in my head for the past 6 years. So it's kind of like three stories in one, but it's still the first part. Like they could make up everything with however they decide to end part 4. And we probably be like, okay, we probably can accept that. But until we see part 2 of this part, we're going to be on our toes, and we're going to continue to be disappointed because, one, it was too long. Number 2, they overplayed the finger snap, which probably pissed everybody off because, it snapped his fingers, everything. They overplayed it.
I kind of like
the one thing that they got right, because that's actually that connection to source material. That's the actual iconic moment in the comic book.
But they didn't have to say it 3 or 4 times. He just did.
Well, I mean, they're gonna work it. But I mean,
they kept working. They kept working it in.
That's one of the few parts that I appreciate.
But they kept working in for the people that only come to watch the movies because, like, oh wait, what's this finger snapping thing? I never heard.
But they did it so subliminally that you couldn't. I wasn't catching up on the finger snap thing, and that's the thing about it. They were saying, but dog, the thing I liked it. I kind of with Wilson on this, where I kind of liked it is they kind of subtly said it. So it was like, oh, Gamora talks about it with the finger snap, and then when he talks to whoever else, they talk about a finger snap. So when Thor impales Thanos, I was like, okay, cool. Simple Marvel film. He kills the villain. Okay, it is what it is. Then he was like, oh, you should have aimed for the head. And then the camera pans off and he hits that snap. I was like, oh, shit, I forgot about him snapping his finger. And then all of a sudden he cuts to black and then everybody started fading away. I was like, that was well done.
I mean, I
kind of like that.
You kind of seen the snap coming. It's kind of like
I didn't.
Count.
I swear to God
maybe it was just me, man.
I swear on. I really don't know what to swear on, but I really did not see a camera.
After he got the time stone, I knew it was a wrap. I was like, whatever the fuck they do next is gonna get reversed. Like it don't matter what they do.
Because they made Thor so good in this film, so when Thor did that, it was just like, okay, this is revenge. Thor is the proper person to kill Thanos because, hey, you killed my brother. Everybody else in my life is dead. And Heimdall, you kill my OG black uncle,
all and Guardians blew up the shit.
You kill half of them, and it's just like, yo, Thor might as well get this justification. And you know what Marvel did? What I liked about it is Marvel kind of flipped a lot of that because they were like, we're so used to the hero coming out on top on these movies and killing the villain. So I personally thought Thanos was dead. And then the camera just kind of backed up. And then Thanos kind of looked up at him and says, hey, man, you should have aimed for the head. And he snapped his finger. I was like, oh, snap. What's about to happen? I low-key forgot what's about to happen. I was that immersed in the movie, honestly.
I feel you, but that's the most important thing that I feel like we keep missing. It's gonna be a second part to all this. So maybe one day when we go back and dreadfully sit through all 8 hours of whatever material they gonna give us, then maybe we'll appreciate everything as a whole. But for now, it's a reason to be disappointed because we felt like we wanted more. We could have got more. I feel like we got some just long storyline, especially with like the Peter Dinklage and his character. I feel like they didn't give me enough, dude, for the
Bro, I'm gonna keep it real, and I'm about to give Marvel some credit. I'm gonna keep it real. There were payoff moments in this movie that I really enjoyed, like Doctor Strange and and Iron Man going back and forth at it, Spider-Man popping up out the blue. Because I low-key, when they were fighting in New York and they were just going at it, I low-key forgot all about Spider-Man when they had just showed me that. And he pops up, I was like, oh shit, I forgot Spider-Man in New York. Or then it's like, I kind of saw the Cap thing coming in London. They kind of was like, oh, I don't know how we're gonna get out of here. And I was like, oh, watch Cap pop up, and then
Yeah,
lo and
mysterious
behold,
train, yeah.
and then here comes Cap. I don't understand. That's another flaw of movies. Why do they do that to the villains? Why do they have to pause? Like, why was
Who's
I
that
don't even know
behind
her.
this fast train that
Yeah,
I can't
like,
make out?
let us wait and see who is this behind this train. I was just like, come on, man, y'all could have done better with that. Y'all could have tried to kill Vision. And why they make Vision so weak? Why they got to do that to
Vision
Vision?
got his ass ran through the entire movie. It was so.
Dog, he got stabbed, but Vision is supposed to be so alert, whatnot. But it's just like, okay,
I mean, he got Corvus back and stabbed him at the end, but still, how Corvus glaive on he got protection against his own damn weapon? Like, bro, you can't die to some shit that you
Hey,
got.
one thing I did find that was kind of tricky that Marvel did was because remember when Cap and Black, what was it? I think it was Cap and Black Widow. The force field was up in Wakanda, and they were talking to the chick. What's her name? The evil chick from the Black Order.
Oh, Proxima Midnight.
Proxima Midnight. You know how they were talking to her, and it's like, oh, so what happened to your other friend? And then she was like, he died or blah blah blah. I low key didn't see Kesha the first time, so when he popped up and was killing people trying to get Vision, I was like, nigga, weren't you supposed to be dead? And I was like, oh wow, that was a nice little subtle thing they did.
No, not Corvus. She was talking about Ebony Maw.
No, she wasn't talking about Ebony Maw. Look at it again. Remember, they were talking about Corvus Glaive because
Corvus Glaive snuck in and got Vision after they started talking.
Listen to this. This was before, because on my second viewing when I was watching it, she was saying Scarlett Johansson was talking to her about what happened to your friend, and the only friend that was there during the battle of fighting with Vision and Captain America and Scarlet Witch was the dude that popped up to attack Vision at Wakanda, and she was saying that he's dead. They don't know what's going on with Ebony Maw because Ebony Maw was already gone and doing his own thing.
But Corvus was still alive because he snuck to the back.
But we didn't know that. She said she threw all of them off by saying, "Oh, he's dead."
Okay.
And that threw kind of everything off. Cause I was like, "Oh, he is dead." I said, "Oh, he must have died."
I thought you talking about Ebony Maw, but I just didn't know about him.
Because you remember he was hurt when the ship had kind of beamed them off or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was some good action. I mean, it's some really good action scenes. I mean, keep it 100. Spider-Man and that whole thing, the fight in Titan, that was really good.
Yeah, they all did their thing up in Titan. They held it down. It's just Peter that fucked it up. Peter sold them the fuck out. Fuck Star-Lord.
Oh God, Star-Lord. But I guess they trying to get that human. Oh, that's another thing that didn't work. Wilson, I know you want to chime in about that. This did not work. That whole I'm supposed to believe that Gamora and Star-Lord are in love. I was like, I didn't get none of that from the films.
That dude was on the friend list.
Can we keep it real, y'all? Does Gamora really come off as a deadly assassin? She does not. And that makes me so sick about the film. Like, you want me to believe she's a deadly assassin? I just can't believe it at all.
Even Thanos, he gave a billion as the baddest woman in the universe. I'm like, when did she get?
I was like, when she was bad.
That's the problem, is because technically by letter of the law, and I hate doing it, but if you go to the source material, she is literally the deadliest assassin. The most deadly assassin in the universe, and they completely Disney-fy that.
Exactly,
they completely Disney-fy.
That is it right there, and I love how you said they Disney-fy it.
She's like a naive. She's in this one particular. She's like a naive bimbo in the entire movie, and that kills me.
Especially how she feels for that
reality.
She's so
smart. She's so witty. She's so quick-witted. And all these other, even in the Guardian movies, she's quick-witted, she's on her toes and stuff like that, but it's like she got around Thanos and her brain turned to jelly and she became this stupid little girl that allowed herself to get thrown off a cliff.
Exactly.
Really?
No fight to it, or no.
Nothing.
Or
Toss
even
me, Thanos, toss me.
Even when she fell for the sauce with the reality stone, I was like, Gamora, you better than this.
And that was another little nigga they tried to put in there because right when he was talking to her head, like, oh, I didn't know you cared for me. I'm like, oh shit, here go.
I was like, here we go again.
Yeah, here go that angle, that Gamora Thanos angle that they trying to force.
Like, I was low key on the like, are y'all sure they father daughter? Because he talked to her like that boyfriend that just got his claws still in her, and she trying to, resist the temptation to go back.
He didn't get the Nebula treatment because Nebula's getting stretched out over there. So hey,
yeah, he gave zero fucks about Nebula. Huh?
Hey, that's what
I said. It was a waste of parts.
I don't know this bitch. Yeah,
he's like, why are you around here?
Y'all should have let her die.
Shout out to the Russo brothers, man. The Russo brothers are really good at what they do, and that's delivering action and story. And if you go back and watch like The Winter Soldier and Civil War, which are two films that they directed, they are so on point with their story, but you can see when the studio got in there, it's like, oh, we got to put this in there. Like that airport scene, as amazing as that airport scene in Civil War, it really detracted from everything the Russo brothers was doing on that entire film. I'm talking about the serious nature of what they were delivering. Disney just steps in and says, hey, we gotta add this and that and the third.
We need this cash, homie.
Was there anything in particular that you guys would take out of this movie that you felt was deemed unnecessary?
Oh man,
I will leave that up to you, Griff, because we don't have enough time in this podcast.
I honestly, the things that really didn't work for me was Gamora's acting. I did not like Zoe Saldana's acting. By some people, I hear a lot of people out there saying like, "Oh my god, that was such a surprise." I kind of felt like that was coming
now,
for her
was
to
it
die.
her acting or the way that they wanted her to act? I mean, I didn't have a problem.
It got to be the fake relationship.
It me that she was such a damn bimbo.
It wasn't even that. I think it's just her. I didn't like because I don't like her acting in The Guardian 1 or 2 or this movie. And what I say about that is I think Zoe Saldana is a good actress, or she's good enough of an actress, but she doesn't equate, like I said, that deadly aspect. She comes off too human to be a deadly assassin, and that's the thing that I don't like about her character. You don't come off as the
Halle Berry of this little
universe. She is the how Halle Berry destroyed what Storm's supposed to be. That's how she destroyed
I get
what
no
that is.
Goddess vibe. I never got any African goddess vibe from Halle Berry ever in any X-Men movie ever.
That's one thing that character.
Oh man.
Hey, Rocket was good. I really like Rocket and his scenes with Thor, and when Thor was crying.
Rocket was cool because Rocket had the ship to get Thor where he had to go, and Groot had the handle. But Peter, Drax, Mantis.
Hey, I did like Peter Quill in some of the facts when he was going.
Low key though, I actually like Mantis. But
the only thing she was like needed for was to put Thanos to sleep, and Peter fucked that up. So now she's pointless.
And the thing is, they didn't even put him to sleep, and that's the thing I hate about it. That's the whole thing I hate about that one scene, because Mantis is what she's supposed to do. Is she should be able to put people to sleep. If you can put Ego asleep on Guardians 2, but you can't put Thanos asleep, why is Thanos still talking and telling Peter about what's his name? I was just like, whoa, dog, I was really pissed off at that scene.
He was an open book. You could actually.
I was like really pissed off. I was like, okay, so Mantis can put Ego, the living planet, to sleep, but she can't put Thanos to sleep.
He don't snooze.
I was like, okay. I was like, okay. And I think a lot of people are just, the narratives out there is that this is the most amazing film in the Marvel cinematic thing, and it's really not. I think a lot of people are prisoners of the moment in a certain regard, and I feel
which is the only thing that Marvel cares about. And
they do.
The number one argument that they're going to put out there for all of the people like us that inject a little bit of levity, a little bit of common sense, and we're past the shock and awe portion. The only reply that they're going to have is that age-old thing. But look at the numbers, though.
Yeah, because I'm gonna be honest. I think we need to be honest, y'all.
They're crushing it. They're about to bust all these records.
Miss Marvel about to make some money, but I'm really about to be really mad at that one film because they are hyping Miss Marvel up like she's stronger than Thor, and she's not stronger than Thor.
I'm looking forward to Ant-Man and the Wasp.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
I'm looking forward to Ant-Man and the Wasp because I'm gonna get to see Hawkeye again.
Let me ask you a question, Wilson, and DeMarcus too, if you want to chime into this one. So when I was watching the movie, I was thinking to myself, I know they're gonna tease Miss Marvel some type of way. They kind of been hyping it up like she's set in the 90s. You know, a lot of the characters from the Guardians are going to be in there, and they're going to hype her up like she's the most powerful human or whatnot. But my thing is, and I was thinking about this, wouldn't it be awesome to you tease Adam Warlock at the end of Guardians 1 or 2?
Why are you trying to trigger me?
Dog, why is Adam Warlock not y'all go-to character? Like, yo, we need to go figure out.
You would have to completely rewrite the entire narrative, number one. And number two, it's almost impossible to do anything cosmic involving Adam Warlock and not have a Silver Surfer.
God, he's the one missing factor, because I did remember in the comic books, and I did hear somebody talking about that. You know, when Hulk falls into the sanctum of Doctor Strange. That's from the comic books when Silver Surfer fell.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, Thanos is coming.
Like with the storyline with the Thor Ragnarok, which is kind of like Planet Hulk and stuff like that. You should have a Beta Ray Bill and a Silver Surfer fighting on that gladiator planet. Yeah, like you kind of lose a little bit because of the fact that you have to work with certain restrictions. And again, I get it, but if folks want to know what the maximum bang for the buck is and how deep the storyline can actually get, yeah, you throwing an Adam Warlock, you throwing a Silver Surfer, Thanos ain't winning that easy in round one.
Oh my God. Okay. Oh y'all, I just, oh my God, this just hit me. So if you watch Thor Ragnarok, you can see Beta Ray Bill face on the building of champions. If you watch that movie again, you can see his face. How amazing would it have been if instead of you had Hulk in that movie, but what if they had Beta Ray Bill as also a character in that movie, and he's looking for his hammer that he's misplaced? Okay, hear me out.
What's
he's
his hammer's name?
A Stormbreaker who Thor has.
Ain't
so
that funny?
What if when Thanos, like in the end of everything happens, they leave Beta Ray Bill, blah blah blah, and if you say, okay, think about this, y'all, just really hear me out. So what if, like in this movie where we see the Hulk got beat up or whatnot, and we see Thor about to die, what if Thanos killed Thor, but in killing Thor, that's when Idris Elba, because he sees everything. They always remind us Idris sees everything. He saw what happened in Ragnarok. What if he sent Hulk back to Sakaar or whatever, and he tells Beta Ray Bill, because Beta Ray Bill and Thor got that relationship of fighting together or whatnot in that movie, and he has to go back and tell Beta Ray Bill about what's happening, and Beta Ray Bill's the person that comes in to replace Thor. That would have been the greatest thing ever, and you could have easily killed off Thor, and I've been happy. I was like, oh, he got his just due. Replace Thor with Beta Ray Bill.
Pretty much.
And it would have been golden.
Average people don't know Beta Ray Bill. We don't know nothing about him. He won't make us no money.
I'm just yo, dog, that would have been gold. I mean, it's so many storylines that could have happened. Oh, and then, dog, I hated the Hulk in this movie. I hated Bruce Banner in this movie.
He wasn't in the movie.
Yeah, he wasn't in the movie, bro.
I meant to say Bruce Banner, and the reason why I say they make him a buffoon, they make him a one-line.
He's a sniveling idiot. He's a sniveling idiot. And he's literally one of the smartest people in the Marvel Universe.
If you watch Avengers 1, y'all remember watching Avengers 1 when they're having that conversation and Bruce is showing his intelligence when he's talking to Iron Man, when they're having that whole debate and how he's trying to keep things at bay. I'm like, what happened to that Bruce Banner? Why do we have this fool of Bruce Banner now?
Yeah, I don't know what they did to Bruce, man.
Dog, I don't know what he is. He got in love and became a weak nigga.
Yeah, they toned him down. Everybody been toned down in this movie. It's crazy.
That's kind of makes me sick. I'm sorry to keep going too long about this, but it's thinking about this film that I really don't like.
No, I understand. What do you think is going to happen in the future? What would y'all predict to happen on Avengers 4?
Probably, redemption. Pretty much Captain America and Iron Man, they kind of redeem their friendship.
The spirit of what it is to be a hero, and they're going to further go into tying up the loose ends on some of those storylines, like Rip just said, like the Captain America, Iron Man stuff, things of that nature. And they're going to demonstrate in full what it is to be a true hero by sacrificing themselves to bring back all the other guys so they can finish filming their sequels.
You see, and that's one of the reasons why I said sacrifice is important. I think we're going to see one of these Avengers get sacrificed next movie.
Yeah, we're going to see all of them. All of them.
I would be shocked if all the original Avengers, because it's no coincidence that you're stuck with the original Avengers being left, that they will sacrifice themselves, because in their own way, all of the original Avengers are pretty much ready to stop doing this shit anyway. For one reason or another, all of them are pretty much tired. They've run their course. They're like, nah, maybe it's time to pass on this torch and stuff like that. I fully believe that they will sacrifice themselves in order to pass the torch on to these guys that they bring back to life, and it'll just kick in the reboot for the next phase of the cinematic universe.
And I'm with Wilson 1,000% behind that idea.
I think they're gonna go back to the Dwarf. We seen that the gauntlet got messed up at the end. I think Thor's gonna take them back to the Dwarf. They're gonna make another gauntlet. Then they're gonna have to go back and get all those damn stones again.
See, I don't even think that. I think because Thanos still has the gauntlet.
Destroyed.
It's just no. We see it burnt and fractured, but I still think you can use it.
Gonna get fixed. Who gonna fix it?
But the thing is, I still think that somebody's gonna be able to will it and still use it some type of way, and it's just gonna kill them. And that's what I think is gonna happen. Iron Man or somebody gonna use it, and that's gonna be it.
And now
He gonna sacrifice
the only
himself.
catch to this is going to be this, and this is my ray of hope that I'm putting out there for Marvel. At some point in time, I'm hoping that they're keeping it close to the vest, but I'm pretty much banking on the fact that in order to get those stones back in order and to be able to fight this fight against Thanos, that they're going to introduce some new characters.
Somebody
I mean,
other than Captain Marvel. Yes.
They
You're gonna get some sort of hint or some sort of tease towards those new characters in the next two movies.
Oh yeah,
Ant-Man movie and in the Miss Marvel movie.
Yeah, I wonder what character they would.
They're gonna use, but I just have that feeling that it's going to have to be some new characters that come into play to kind of help out. Maybe some people on a more cosmic level. Maybe you get a Quasar involved or something like that. I mean, there's no telling. I mean, maybe they go through by now and they've already had some inner dealings to be able to get some more of these characters on loan. And, you know, you can use like Cyclops Pops and some of the Star Jammers to help out on that cosmic level and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they will get a little Silver Surfer for tease an appearance in there, or a little Adam Warlock or something like that. I mean, I'm just hoping to see something like that to just give me that initial charge, because if I just predicted what's going to happen in that movie, I might not go see that movie opening weekend.
I think we could predict what's going to happen, and I'm going to tell you why. Because Miss Marvel was never announced. Because if we just think about this in reality terms, Miss Marvel was never planned or even in their, I want to say, in their timeline until Wonder Woman came out. Oh, guess what? Wonder Woman's pretty successful. So what do? Let's go ahead and make this phenomenal Infinity Wars movie that we had. You know, we got too much material. It was always supposed to be a part 1, part 2. So let's go ahead and space it out. And let's add another woman. Oh, guess what? Let's add this as a tease. It's probably going to be another $1 billion franchise with a woman being the lead.
And I will say this.
Probably.
I will say this. If they kept it 100 and kept it a buck, the first Captain Marvel was a young lady named Monica Rambeau, a young black lady from Louisiana, who was actually a head of the Avengers at one point in the comic books. But I'll leave that.
I never knew that, so because I don't follow Miss Marvel. I mean, that is one I just never really followed.
Not Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel.
Oh, you talking about Captain Marvel? I thought Captain Marvel was the Creed dude or whatever. Captain Marvel. Oh, Captain Marvel. Yeah, it was Captain Marvel.
They've had a lot of people play those parts and stuff like that. But
you talking about the one that stretches out? Is that one?
No. This Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau, she was an energy-based hero. Like, she controlled light and energy and stuff like that. And she literally worked her way up to where she was leading the Avengers at one point. Leading an Avengers team with Captain America on it.
Well, you kind of see what I think we can kind of agree that
I'm just throwing stuff out there. I'm hoping that it's not going to be exactly what we keep talking about, because I'm gonna be even more disappointed. I'm gonna be beside myself.
And you know what's funny about it, and I like it with what's his name said, James Cameron. You know how James Cameron came out and was like, oh, it's gonna be comic book movie fatigue, and you know, you keep making these movies. No, that's not the argument that you should have been making. The argument that you should have been making is saturating the market with some of these, I want to say, B-list type of movies and trying to market them as A worth type of movies is really going to saturate the market. So you don't appreciate a great film. It kind of goes under a radar. That's why I have Edge of Tomorrow or War of the Planet of the Apes or those types of really, really good films don't make as much money. It's because everybody's looking for the blockbuster film is like Transformers, the Marvel movies and stuff like that. That's why these movies make so much money. That's why you see the movies that kind of actually put their foot out there and say, hey, I want to be different, don't do as well. And that's what I kind of really hate about this, you know, world we're heading to now. That's my problem.
Yeah.
What's going to be the final thoughts and the official reviews you guys have?
Man, after seeing this movie twice, I think the moment I walked out Thursday, I was more hyped about that movie than I am now. And after I let it sink in and I you know, keeping it real, this movie is it's in my top 5 Marvel movies in the cinematic universe, but it's like a 8 out of 10, and I had to keep it real. I still have Black Panther over it, still have Civil War over it, I still have Iron Man 1 over it. what's that, Captain America 2. And the only reason why I have those movies over, because if you look at those type of films, and you don't have to agree with me, those seem like more contained type films, more like I felt more character, I felt more stakes, I felt more at ease from start to finish. With this movie, it's just like when I went home, I just really nitpicked the crap out of this movie, and I was just like, yo, maybe I'm being too hard on the movie. Then I step back and I see it again, I was like, no, I'm not gonna settle for less than what I want. So that's why it gave me the Drake effect. And I hate to say that, it's the Drake effect. Drake makes really good songs, but it's like, yo, I need more of that. Like, yo, you are really cutting corners with what you're giving me right now. And I felt with this movie, it was really good for what it was, but I feel like they cut a lot of corners just to appease fans, and that's my only problem with this film. So I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. It's in my top 5, but it's right at number 5. It barely beat out Homecoming, barely.
No, I can agree with you on that. What about you, Wilson?
For me again, like I said, at the end of the day, for what it was supposed to be, from a casual fan perspective, awesome movie, great. I give it an 8.5 out of 10, really 8.75 out of 10. Because the only flaws that I can find with it is people that would read comic books or pay attention would only find. Where does it rank for me? I'd say it would be 5 or 6 for me, maybe 4. I still put Spider-Man Homecoming over it. I will still put Ant-Man over it. I'll still put Winter Soldier over it. I actually like Doctor Strange better than it, to be honest, and Black Panther, honestly, too.
Bro, I do too.
But I appreciate, and I don't want people to take it the wrong way, but for me, the one thing that makes me appreciate an Ant-Man or a Doctor Strange and keep them in my top 5 is the fact that they actually are, I guess what you can call in this cinematic universe, original concepts. It's not the same format. It's not the same thing that I would get out of all these other movies. They were kind of like standalones. Like it's odd that 3 of my top 5 movies are basically like standalone movies. But that's the originality factor that I like, because I don't like being fed the same narrative with all the interconnectivity. Like knowing that I have to look at this Avengers and stuff like that, but I have to keep Guardians of the Galaxy on my mind, like automatically takes away from the Avengers for me.
Exactly.
Because I can't stand what they did with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, no.
So the fact that I don't have to connect those movies to it puts them higher up on my list. But again, I cannot stress enough, I don't hate this movie. I don't think that it's a bad movie. So all the folks out there listening, don't be discouraged. Oh, y'all just hating this, that, and other. No, this is just the way that we feel about it. At the end of the day, like I said, it's an awesome movie. It has no choice but to be an awesome movie. It's almost an awesome movie by default, which is one of the main reasons why I will always keep Black Panther over it, because it's easy to have the greatest movie in Marvel cinematic history if you gave it 10 years worth of build-up.
Yeah, that is very true. They had a lot of history behind this movie.
They shafted my boy Black Panther in 2 movies ever since Civil War. Man, he gets literally nothing to do in this film, and he literally didn't get enough fighting in Black Panther to me. And I'm like, yo, I want to see more fighting of Black Panther. I want to see Black Panther really going toe to toe out here in these streets.
Like, yeah, he gave him the business in an animated joints, though. I mean, I don't understand why you can pull that off. I mean, in Earth Mightiest Heroes, the series a few years back, and the 2 Ultimate Avengers movies that they had that was on the animated side, I mean, he got tons of work. But
he was awesome in Civil War too. I mean, he had good fighting scenes in Civil War. That's about it.
Yeah, great fighting scenes in Civil War.
But it's like in Black Panther, I understand why they didn't do it so much in Black Panther, because it was like world building. You know, he did have passable stuff when they had like the mountain scenes.
It was an origin
movie.
It was an origin movie. You had to have a good amount of balance, because he had to juggle being a king outside of the uniform as well as being a superhero inside of the uniform. So I can forgive them for that. I understand it.
2 GOAT moments before you go to Marcus. 2 GOAT moments of the movie that I really love is when Black Panther and Captain America take off and they burn everybody.
Like, damn, what's they 40 time, homie?
Them niggas was gone. It reminded me of
I run this 29540.
If y'all ever want to go back and watch The Return of the King, The Lord of the Rings Return of the King, there's a scene where the heroes are surrounded by all the orcs. It is towards the end of the movie, and they charge in to, fight the orcs. And Gandalf burns everybody. Gandalf is the oldest person out of all y'all, and he burns all of y'all. Captain Rogers is older than all y'all and still burning y'all boys.
I'm out. I'm gone.
And another money scene would be when Rocket Raccoon gets picked up by Winter Soldier and he spins them around and they're just shooting things. I was like, that's beautiful. That is
The
beautiful.
best part about it was afterwards. He was like, "Hey man, how much for the gun?" He's like, "It's not for sale." He's like, "Well, how about the arm? That's not for sale too." He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get that arm.
I'm gonna get that on." Rocket is, hey, Rocket
Like,
really is
like, what
the
you
best.
talking about? Wait till you fall asleep. I'm gonna get that on.
Nah, but
Rocket is great.
it was still a good movie once you take out the source material, like kind of affecting a little bit. The fact that it's a little bit too long, the Black Order didn't do enough. Guardians was pretty much a failure. But when you look at the aspect of NWO style, like takeover, hostile takeover, and getting the job done, Thanos did that shit. So just with that aspect alone, like coming in, kicking ass from Jump Street, taking the biggest, baddest Avenger, everybody just scared of the Hulk. Oh, I'm just gonna flatline him and squash him right quick, make him a jobber. I'm gonna
What
get
was that
this
movie
Gauntlet.
with? What was that movie with Vin Diesel and them other? Was it called Knockaround Guys or something like that? Where they had to correct some kind of drug deal gone wrong.
Or was it Man Apart? I'm probably wrong.
No. I want to say it was called Knockaround Guys because he was like the bouncer or whatever, and they were talking to him about how he does what he does, and he basically said, "Well, you know, I just like to set the tone. I'll walk into the bar, I'll find the baddest motherfucker there and knock his ass out." That's pretty much what Thanos did at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. So it's just that effect of a hostile takeover, and he actually did it. You know what I'm saying? Like we see a lot of villains, they come out strong on movies. Next thing you know, 20 minutes for the film, they done. They are rapping. Now it's another villain coming out of nowhere. So the fact that he was able to complete that mission in a fashion that we never seen a villain succeed over 2.5 hours was pretty fucking good. And from that alone, I got to give it a 9 out of 10, regardless of how pissed off I am about the whole Guardians, the movie being super long in the Black Order. His takeover, you can't beat that. You can't beat it with a stick, bro.
Man, his takeover was GQ, dog. That was like the greatest thing. It was like, man, today was a good day.
He spray painted their ass all up and down the galaxy, dude.
He was whooping. He was taking names. He was just whooping the next nigga. He was just like, hey, I gotta whoop this nigga today.
Yeah, because everybody like, oh, Captain America's gonna be holding the gauntlet. No, he held the gauntlet just long enough to get punched in the face.
Kids punch right. Like, nigga, get out of my face, dog. You doing too much.
So yeah, he ran through them when he got to Wakanda. Like that's the Thanos that I wanted to see their entire film, but they kind of robbed us of that. You know, we got maybe 15 minutes of Savage Thanos, then we got about 2 hours and 15 minutes of I'm a dad and I hate that I had to kill my daughter, Thanos.
Boy, they woman. Man, Marvel is so PC, it's not even funny. I just thought about that scene where they was, what was it, Okoye and Scarlet Witch and Black Widow. Oh, yay, girl power moment. Yeah. I'm just like, oh my god, why is Scarlett Johansson going toe to toe with these boys?
Yeah, but that was it for me though, fellas. That was how I felt about it. Like I say, still a good film. After seeing it twice, I didn't have that same impact, like you said, after seeing it the first time, because that shock factor was gone. I just paid attention more to the storyline, and it was a Thanos movie. That's all it is. It was Thanos movie part 1 of the Avengers.
After you saw the second time, DeMarcus, this one part that I liked the second viewing was how everything just like, it didn't waste no time. Like, you know, when you watched, what was that, Avengers 1 and 2, it was kind of like they had like Avengers 1, it was like the build up, like, okay, we got to introduce Cap, we got to introduce Scarlett Johansson, look for Hulk, and then for 2 it was like, oh, they're in the battle already. Oh, look, they're established.
They took a break in Avengers 2. They went to a Hawkeye house and took a break.
Dog, I loved it in this movie. It was just like Doctor Strange goes, Iron Man goes to Doctor Strange Sanctum, and they just having a casual conversation, and it's just like, yo, what's that noise outside? Yeah. And they walked outside, and we're down to business, dog. They here. I'm like, oh snap! It wasn't no like layoff, like, oh, we gotta wait for the aliens to come. Let's come and establish a plan. They get caught off guard from jump.
Even with Shuri, she got caught off guard because they put so much emphasis on like, why didn't you do this to install the stone? And then they didn't even give her enough time to even get the stone out. So they
did give her enough time where she was able to shit on Bruce Banner and say, hey, I'm smarter than you. Why you didn't do this? Like when they were talking about Vision and what.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they gave her like, why didn't y'all do this to get the stone out? But they ain't even let her finish getting the stone out herself. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like they just had her just to have a moment in the movie. Just to
hey, well, she had a good moment. Hey, that's a good moment to one up Bruce Banner.
Yeah, for sure. Well, man, anything else y'all got for the folks? The draft preview is or draft recap gonna be coming up pretty soon. My guy BJ Nix, you know what I'm saying? So we got that coming up, and probably
Yeah,
hit y'all with
you
the regular
don't want
show.
to miss that one.
Yeah, that's gonna be live. That's gonna be live. Probably that's gonna be on Wednesday. So knock that out. Maybe a regular show. But anything else y'all got for the folks?
Oh, do y'all want to talk about Avengers some more? It's like I feel like I'm missing something on some
Nope.
good Oh, you done talking about? Okay.
No,
Ain't nothing else until we see part two,
we
my
got
man.
we
Like,
got through it.
It was some
Relatively no emotion involved. We talk about it anymore, and it might get triggered. I'm
bro,
going to quit while I'm ahead.
bro. Okay, one funny moment when Thor when Thor's laid out on the table and Gamora's like filling up on him. I was really
And bitch ass Peter Quill decides to get in his feelings. Get
exactly,
all that.
Doug. I thought that was really funny. Dog. I thought that was really funny.
That recurring theme irritated the fuck out of
he
me through
was
that
jealous
entire.
Baby Daddy the whole movie, and I was not a fan of it, bro.
I was really mad that they made him because that's the one
Did
thing I
you
liked
change
about.
your voice and make it go deep?
Oh
Yeah,
no.
pretty much. Get the hell out of here. Get the
See,
hell out of here.
I liked him in the
Oh,
comic books when he's a confident dude. That's what makes him so good in the
He's
comic
cocky
books.
as fuck in the comic books. Yes, it's a complete 180.
Exactly, and that's what I hated about it, how they flipped it on it. But I thought that was pretty fun. Drax had some funny one. I mean, this movie had some real good comedy, but it was just like, we didn't really
It
need
had
that.
no choice. You had the greatest Marvel comedy team in the business in the movie. I mean, you had no choice.
Oh, you're not lying.
I mean,
yeah.
hell, Thor's epic adventure with the rabbit and Groot. I mean, yeah. I mean, the shit writes itself. Fare thee well, morons. I mean, come on. I mean, they're all there.
But that's classic Thor. I do like that from the comic books because I like how he's so out of space that it's just like, oh,
Yeah. You don't care about Earth customs or traditional ways of speaking. No, he just shoots it the way he sees it, and that's that.
remind me of what Thor one when he's like, when he's asking for them horses.
Yeah.
Oh man, man. Sometimes Marvel can have some good comedy. Then sometimes it's just like, oh, why you force that?
Let's give it a better balance, man, and don't sacrifice the integrity of the characters for a joke. That's the only problem I have.
You right. You keeping it really real.
That's 100% right, my man. But shit, I guess that's it for the review, man. I mean, if y'all ain't seen it by now, I know we spoiled it, but go check it out.
Don't listen. Don't press play.
We warned you.
Oh yeah, if you listen, you a fool.
Yeah, you out of there. Don't go to the movies. Throw the whole movie away.
Don't y'all hate it when people go to like these spoiler reviews on YouTube and they'll first comment be like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you spoiled this movie."
Why did you click on it?
Why did you click on this?
Yeah.
It be like, okay, people really do the most on the internet sometimes.
Like, be mad at yourself.
That Deadpool come out in what 3 weeks, so man, we got that to look forward to.
Yeah, hilarious.
After watching this film, it's like I'm hyped up for feature films, but it's like I am starting to feel the kind of fatigue of these films a little bit.
Can't help but feel the fatigue of it, man. I mean, they've been hitting you over the head with it and sledgehammering, and that's why everybody that's trying to pick sides and they want to be Marvel fanboys and talk down on DC, it's not by accident that DC ain't putting out that many movies right now because they're not trying to fall into that, we're oversaturating everything. That's why they're taking their time with stuff. They put out maybe 1 or 2 movies a year, and they just keep it pushing.
Yeah,
but then TV shows though. Oh yeah, and I believe Batman Ninja comes out next week for those that like to pay attention to the real shit.
It came out.
Did it come out already?
It came out already. It was pretty damn good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. DC's still winning. They're just winning where everybody else ain't looking.
Yeah, and Black Lightning is on Netflix. So if you, no more excuses.
Get in where you fit in. Yeah, get in where you fit in.
No more excuses on why you didn't watch Black Lightning. It's on Netflix.
I know, right? But man, we're gonna be back to the culture in 2 days. But as for now, this has been Fish and Grits, and you guys have just been served.
Y'all enjoy.
Peace.